Welcome to Daily Scripture Reading. I do not own the rights to this music. Numbers chapter 33. This is the Amplified Version. Review of the journey from Egypt to Jordan. These are the stages of the journeys of the Israelites by which they came out of the land of Egypt by their tribal armies under the leadership of Moses and Aaron. Moses recorded their points of departure as the Lord commanded, stage by stage, and these are their journeys, according to their points of departure. They set out from Ramses on the 15th day of the first month, on the day after the Passover. The Israelites moved out triumphantly in the sight of all the Egyptians, while the Egyptians were bearing all their firstborn, whom the Lord had struck down among them, upon their gods. The Lord also executed judgments. Then the Israelites moved out from Ramses, where they had all joined together, and camped in Succoth. They moved out from Succoth and camped in Etham, which is on the edge of the wilderness. They moved out from Etham and turned back to Pi-hahiroth, east of Baal-zephon, and they camped before Migdol. They moved out from before Pi-hahiroth and passed through the midst of the Red Sea into the wilderness. And they went a 3 days' journey in the wilderness of Etham and camped at Marah. They moved out from Marah and came to Elim. In Elim there were 12 springs of water and 70 palm trees, and they camped there. They moved out from Elim and camped by the Red Sea, Sea of Reeds. They moved out from the Red Sea and camped in the wilderness of Sin. They moved out from the wilderness of Sin and camped at Dophkah. They moved out from Dophkah and camped at Alush. They moved out from Alush and camped at Rephidim. Now it was there that the people had no water to drink. They moved out from Rephidim and camped in the wilderness of Sinai, where they remained for about a year. They moved out from the wilderness of Sinai and camped at Kibroth Hattaavah. They moved out from Kibroth Hattaavah and camped at Hazeroth. They moved out from Hazeroth and camped at Rithmah near Kadesh, the place from which the 12 spies were sent to spy out the land of Canaan. They moved out from Rithmah and camped at Rimmon Perez. They moved out from Rimmon Perez and camped at Libnah. They moved out from Libnah and camped at Rissah. They moved out from Rissah and camped at Kehelathah. They moved out from Kehelathah and camped at Mount Sheper. They moved out from Mount Sheper and camped at Haradah. They moved out from Haradah and camped at Makheloth. They moved out from Makheloth and camped at Tahath. They moved out from Tahath and camped at Terah. They moved out from Terah and camped at Mithkah. They moved out from Mithkah and camped at Hashmonah. They moved out from Hashmonah and camped at Moseroth. They moved out from Moseroth and camped at Bina Jakin. They moved out from Bina Jakin and camped at Hor Haggidgad. They moved out from Hor Haggidgad and camped at Jotbathah. They moved out from Jotbathah and camped at Abranah. They moved out from Abranah and camped at Ezion Geber for Elath on the Gulf of Agabah. They moved out from Ezion Geber and camped in the wilderness of Zin, which is Kadesh. They moved out from Kadesh and camped at Mount Hor, on the edge of the land of Edom. Aaron the priest went up on Mount Hor at the command of the Lord and died there in the 40th year after the Israelites came out of the land of Egypt, on the first day of the 5th month. Aaron was 123 years old when he died on Mount Hor. The Canaanite, the king of Arad, who lived in the Negev, the south country, in the land of Canaan, heard that the sons of Israel were coming. They moved out from Mount Hor and camped at Zalmonah. Then they moved out from Zalmonah and camped at Punon. They moved out from Punon and camped at Oboth. They moved out from Oboth and camped at Ayi Abarim, on the border of Moab. They moved out from Ayim, i.e. Abarim, and camped at Dibon Gad. They moved out from Dibon Gad and camped at Almon Diblathaim. They moved out from Almon Diblathaim and camped in the mountains of Abarim before Mount Nebo. They moved out from the mountains of Abarim and camped in the plains of Moab by the Jordan across from Jericho, their last stop on the journey to Canaan. They camped by the Jordan from Beth Jeshimoth as far as Abel Shittim in the plains of Moab. Law of possessing the land. Then the Lord spoke to Moses in the plains of Moab by the Jordan across from Jericho, saying, Say to the children of Israel, when you cross the Jordan into the land of Canaan, then you shall drive out all the inhabitants of the land before you and destroy all their sculpted images and destroy all their cast idols and completely eliminate all their idolatrous high places. And you shall take possession of the land and live in it, for I have given the land to you to possess. You shall inherit the land by lot, according to your families. To the large tribe you shall give a larger inheritance, and to the small tribe you shall give a smaller inheritance. Wherever the lot falls to any man, that shall be the location of his inheritance. According to the tribes of your fathers' ancestors you shall inherit. But if you do not drive out the inhabitants of the land from before you, then those you let remain of them will be like pricks in your eyes and like thorns in your sides, and they will attack you in the land in which you live. And as I, the Lord, plan to do to them, so will I do to you. The end. God bless you, and thank you for joining me today.